Alrighty, back again for another video, and today I chuck out one of the big secrets I've been hiding, and that's what engine's getting, well, what style drivetrain. So decided a while back that it's going to go all drive, similar setup to my S15, so it'll be RB25 GDR gearbox. That's pretty much what's held me up. I can't do anything till I've got the engine, the gearbox, as I've got to modify a bit. So it'll end up having another 2 holes up the front, 2 holes down the back on each side, and then inside the car have to modify about there for the transfer case, which I'll probably cut out in the next video. Got to remove some of the sound deadening because that stuff's bloody terrible to work around, but easy enough. Otherwise I'll knock out a couple of little jobs in this video, just some small things I've been putting off, remove some of the parts that have got overspray, and actually mount up the all drive pump. Hopefully an order comes from Raceworks as well, make it nice and easy. But yeah, that's what's been holding me up more than anything, and I decided what better time to tell it. So yeah, all drive S15. I think it'll be the first one that's been done with macpherson struts in the front. So pretty excited to do it, real excited to drive it. The timeline at the moment is looking like 1 to 2 months and it'll be done. So hopefully driving tuned on the road by the end of Feb is the aim. But if something goes wrong, puts me back, it happens. Not too stressed. It's only a car, a couple of extra weeks, another month, doesn't really matter. But let's push ahead, knock out a couple of little jobs. I have to knock out a job that's been annoying me for a while, and that is the locks on that driver's door. The boot's actually not too bad, just around the outer edges, looks like the seal. And the passenger door all got a lot of overspray, plus these 2 edges up here have got a heap as well. So I'm going to try a few different tactics, just some soft stuff just to remove that. Real simple job to start us off, but want to get them clean. Alright, we got the boot lockout. Turns out the latch is actually really destroyed, but might be something I just have to look at changing later on. And the rubber seal around it is what was covered in overspray. Rather than try and clean this rubber up, I might give it a quick go, otherwise I'll just chuck some paint on it. And this just got more challenging. Passenger side comes out, just bolts on. Thought it was going to be like an S13 where there's a little spring thing holding it in. But the overspray on this is ridiculous at best, so I'm just going to try a few different cleaning liquids and see how we go. Well, it's not perfect, being an old late 90s lock that's probably been painted more than once, but we got the majority of the overspray off, tiny little bits here and there, but I can't really see them most of the time, so it should be good to go back in, and I'll pull out the driver's side. At least 10 times better, no overspray in the lock anymore. I'm going to leave that bit till last, but the plastic's all back sitting where it needs to be, as I don't have to do anything else inside this door. So the speakers are on. Jump over to the driver's side now. Same process again on the driver's side. Use the scarra, put some spray on it, use the pick, get rid of all the paint. Before, after, much better. Chuck that one back in, then chuck the boot lock back in, and they're all done, and onto the little plastic side trims I don't want to deal with. The other side ended up cleaning up okay, nothing special. I wouldn't mind replacing that whole trim, probably look later, see how much a new one is. It's just pretty damaged. Fucking messy shit everywhere. But yeah, over to the passenger side. Ended up not being able to clean it up perfectly, so just masked it up and just chucked a little bit of black paint on the bottom cap, as I didn't want to break that cap trying to remove it. But nearly dry now, and then it is done on those bits. On to the next little job. Alrighty, so majority of the heavy sand done. Still got a couple of little bits of pinholes and stuff just to go through on the light sand, but both tubs looking like they're finally in place properly. Just starting on all the fine sand, working my way from the front rail, probably do the front edges, and then just start on one side, work my way down to the firewall. Try and do it a bit systematically, but probably won't. Always gets a bit messy. And just got a little bit to finish on the front radiator support, but probably won't do that today. I am cooking, so any productivity now is awesome, but I don't expect to do much. Just like that, we're back in action, got a little bit more to go. Got my delivery from Raceworks, a few t-shirts, a joiner to play around with the front, the 135, and a few fittings to play around with the fuel system, and a reservoir for the boot as well. The fuel filter unfortunately was on back order, so was the bracket, so I can't get those mounted up, but I can get everything close to where it's going to sit. Just makes a few more steps I can do now, less parts I'm waiting on. Alrighty, now we know it's 4-wheel drive, I can say what everything's for. This is going to be the reservoir living in the boot for the Tessa pump, so controlling the transfer case. This will get mounted under the car. I've got a rough idea how both of these are going to go. Just some hoses to run down to it, but pretty simply just chucked a nutsert in here. That reservoir will live there. I actually have to unbolt it to fill it, but that's not a big hassle. Should never need to be filled once it's in there. But the actual Tessa pump, I'm taking off this guard down the bottom here. It'll live up there. I'll just have to trim the guard so it'll half fit back up, but we'll get that mounted up very shortly. Should be a nice easy job. As for the plumbing on the pump, got one line that runs through to the transfer case, which will just be -6, which we got from Raceworks, so that's easy, and then the other two are just rubber lines. There's one capped, one just with a bolt in it, and then wiring I'll sort out afterwards, but I can do that once it's all in situ. Let's get it in there, see how well it mounts up. The reservoir bolted up in place. At the moment one hose is way too long, so I've just taped it off to the side, worked out a measurement, cut a little slit in it, that way when I pull the reservoir out, pull the hose out, I can cut it to size. The other one's much easier, it's just a straight single normal hose, so I can cut it to length in the car. But underneath we've got the pump jacked up, a couple of things supporting it, running about ½ an inch off the top of the rail, so there's enough clearance, and all the fittings off to the side. Don't know how much space I'm actually going to have to put that shield back on, so it may not make it on there at all, but we'll try. Even if it is just partially at the top, we'll work that one out at the end. That's okay. Just got 2 mounting points on the front, run them up to the rail, and then there's the same on the back, which you should be able to go up to the toe point for that, so that's not too bad. And then the lines and stuff afterwards. So we'll get the mounts made now so it can stay up in position. Tools everywhere, starting to make some progress. All drive pump tacked into position on the front mount. Got just a couple of rubber bushes, actually skateboard bushings and trucks for the front. The rear's no mount on it yet for this. Got to pull it all out, obviously tidy it up, add a little bit of a gusset to it, strengthen it up a bit as well, so that's okay. It's actually not very heavy, the pump, and it doesn't vibrate, it's not on a lot of the time, but yeah, just gotta go from the back up. Should be easy enough. Just got a little bit of rubber in there at the moment, so I can bend the front tack a little bit, position it, and lift that front up. Get the rear mount made now. That way I can pull them out, strengthen them up, and bolt it back in there. See how it all looks. Boom, tacked at the front, tacked at the rear, bracket on, pull them off. A little bit of an issue, I can't actually get these bolts off, so I'll just have to do a bit of grinding work, clean them all up, add some more weld, strengthen them up. But yeah, the pump's pretty good to be mounted. I'll get them off, clean up the brackets, make them nice, paint them. Then I'll be able to put the pump back up there nearly permanently. Just like that. Reservoir's all hooked up, lines on the bottom, hidden away in the corner. Wouldn't know it was there unless you saw it. Same as the pump. She's all mounted up. Everything's in there. A little bit of movement just so the vibrations are gone. But yeah, she's tucked up high. lines straight into the side. Just have to do the wiring, which will run around to the front grommet over there, I'd say. Should be easiest place to go. Saves drilling another hole in the body. But yeah, came out really nice and firm. Played with that back bracket so I could get the bolts on. Gave the pump a bit of a clean. The only line I've still got to run is the one to the box, but I wait for it to be in place before I go cutting line up. Most I'll do is just put one fitting on one end. But yeah, then drain down the bottom. Simple, ready to go. I'm glad how easy that was. Another thing out of the way. But yeah, the first of the 4-wheel drive parts is in the car. Couldn't help myself, had to work out where this line's going to run kind of under the car. So chucked a hose end on from my Bolly box of goodies. So we'll get that on there. Just lightly finger tight this one on and see where the line's roughly going to run into the car, how it's going to route around the subframe. Line ran up, around, and then joins into the fuel lines. She sits in there quite tight. I don't think I could fit a fourth line if I wanted to, so that's good. And then just got it curled up here at the moment. Chuck it into this bag with the dash 8 lines later on. But at the moment, that's me done for the day. 4-wheel drive pump is now mounted. One of the ends of the line's done, others easy enough. Got to wait for the box to be in though, obviously. And I'll order some P-clamps on my next racework sorter. Get that mounted up there really good.